So, lesson 5-7, solving proportions, is going to be an interesting one because I've heard everybody talk about cross multiplying and cross products, but the problem is nobody seems to know when to use it and how to use it. Well, today, this is when and this is how. First thing I want you to see, notice what's in between those examples. It's not a multiplication sign. That's the first thing that people think. All right, oh, when you multiply the fractions, cross multiply, no. All right, when you have equal fractions, you can cross multiply. So if you look, if it's a cross, all right, the 4 times the 24 will give you 96. And in blue, the 6 times 16 will give you 96. They are equal. All right, that is one way to do that. I'm more of a fan of 6 times 4 is 24, and 4 times 4 is 16. That's a little easier. I personally am not that big on cross multiplication, but it does come in handy later with harder algebra, so you do need to know it. So, here we go. Property of proportions. The cross products of a proportion are equal, and we just talked about that in that example. So if A to B is equal to C to D, then A times D, or AD, is equal to C times B, or CB. You don't need to say the times there when you've got the variables. So a proportion is an equation stating that two ratios or rates are equal. All right? So cross products, what cross products are, in A over B is equal to C over D, they are A times D and C times B. So the example there, 3 times 35 is 105, and 5 times 21 is 105. Those are the cross products. All right, both of those are equal, so those fractions are equal. You can also check it how we've been doing this for the past month and a half. 3 times 7 is 21, and 5 times 7 is 35. They're equivalent. All right, so a couple of examples for us here. B over 15 is equal to 66 over 90. Find B. All right, so cross multiply. So we're taking 15 times 66, and that is equal to B times 90. All right, so if you use a calculator, and I got to get mine here real quick, sorry, because I'm not multiplying that out. 15 times 66 is going to give you 990, and B times 90 is simply 90B. It is standard for you to put the number before the variable, and you can omit, you can leave out the multiplication. Now, here's the only thing that I'm not so thrilled about. We haven't discussed solving equations. I think you had a little bit of practice in 6th grade, hopefully, but we haven't really discussed this. So what you need to do is you need to get that B by itself. B is being multiplied by 90, so you need to get rid of multiplying by 90. The way you get rid of multiplying by 90 is you divide by 90. You do the opposite, and whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. Alright, so if we take 990 and we divide it by 90, we're going to get 11 is, and 90 divided by 90 is 1B, and that's what we're trying to solve for. The only thing I'm going to be really picky about is your variable comes first. So B is 11. That's your answer. Alright, so same thing here. 3.2 times 36. And I'm going to start omitting that multiplication sign because it's going to get messy, especially when we've got that decimal there, times 9 times n, or 9n. So if you take 3.2 and you multiply it by 36, you're going to get 115.2. Sorry, oops, hold on, there we go. I can't really make a dot. Is equal to 9n. Same thing, I'm going to solve for n. N is being multiplied by 9. So do the opposite of multiplying by 9, divide by 9. Whatever you do to one side, do to the other. So 115.2 divided by 9 is going to give me 12.8. 9 divided by 9 gives me 1n. That's what I want to solve for. I want to solve for 1n. So n is 12.8. And there's our answer. So where would you ever see this? A lot more places than you would ever think. So you need to be sure to compare the quantities in the same order. Alright, basically you've got to match things up. So the wait time to ride a roller coaster is 20 minutes when 160 people are in line. At this rate, how long is the wait time when 220 people are in line? So go to your first sentence and write the first thing you see. You see 20 minutes, oops, there we go, for 160 people. At this rate, how long is the wait time when 220 people are in the same? So at this rate is saying if this stays true, if this stays constant, if this stays equal. There's my equal sign. So how long is the wait time when 220 people are in line? Where's the 220 going to go? Is it going to go in the numerator or in the denominator? You need to match things up. So if it's people, it's going to go on the bottom because we're matching our people with people. And then we want to know how many minutes. That's our variable there. So if we multiply, right, 20 times, let me get rid of that, sorry, 20 times 220 is equal to 160x, there's our cross multiplying. 20 times 220 will give you 4,040, I can't read numbers apparently, 4,400 is equal to 160x. And now x is being multiplied by 160, so divide, I know I'm off the board here, divide by 160, divide by 160, 4,400 divided by 160 is going to give you 27.5 minutes for 220 people. Sorry, my handwriting's really bad on here today. So we are going to spend a lot of time doing those. You use them a lot more than you think you will. Last thing I want to talk about is using the constant of proportionality. You can also solve problems involving proportional relationships by first finding the constant of proportionality. You don't have to set up the equivalent fractions. All right, you don't have to set up a proportion. You can do this kind of like that bottlenose dolphin problem that we did a couple days ago. So if Mrs. Hidalgo, we'll say, paid $30 for 4 students to visit an art museum, find the cost for 20 students. So if we take 30 divided by 4 and we divide that out, we're going to get that it's $7.50 for 1 student. So how much would it be for 20 students? So simply multiply by 20 and you get $150. Boom, done. Alright, you can still do this with a proportion. Alright, so if it's $30, I'm going to leave the symbols out here. $30 for 4 students. How much would it be for 20 students? Well, 4 are your students. Match that up with 20 students. You don't know the cost, so match that up to the $30. So what we have is 30 times 20, because I don't have a lot of room, I'm just going to multiply that out right now. 30 times 20 is 600, and 4 times x is 4x. I need to solve for x. X is being multiplied by 4, so do the opposite of multiplying by 4. Divide by 4 on both sides. So 600 divided by 4 is going to give me 150 is what x is. And again, my answer is 150. There's always more than one way to solve a math problem. I try to tell you that all the time. How you figure it out is up to you, what works for you, okay? But like I said, you will need the proportions and the cross multiplying for the harder algebra once you guys are there, okay? We are going to be working on this for days, so I'll see you tomorrow.